Just as it's important for us to understand how processes allow the organization to complete its work, decision modeling can help us to understand how rules, policies, and procedures that the organization has in place direct the conduct of our individual employees and team members. These decision models indicate how decisions are made within business processes by following rules and procedures that we've defined. There are a few different ways that we can look at rules as they exist today, or rules that we might seek to put in place as part of a process that we are developing. The first of these is a decision table. Let's say that we're working on a new website for a car dealership, and we would like to be able to offer instant credit approval on our website to let individual consumers know what sort of rates we can lend them credit to if we are able to indeed lend credit to them for a purchase of a vehicle. In this case, we might have some rules in place based on their credit score. If their credit score is below 500, we might simply have to show them some sort of decline message, letting them know that we would be unable to secure financing for them on an instant basis. But if they instead were able to speak with one of our finance managers or find credit elsewhere, we would still be happy, of course, to sell them a vehicle. For those between 500 and 650 for a credit score, we might be able to provide them instead with an instant approval message. For those loan amounts that are underneath $15,000, we might propagate a rate of 8.99%. For those between $15,001 and $40,000, we may instead offer an interest rate of 12.99%, given the higher risk involved in this higher value loan. For those with better credit, 650 to 720 on the standard credit score scale, we could offer reduced rates up to higher requested loan amounts. And for those with truly excellent credit, we could offer our very best financing rates, including on those more premium vehicles we might have to offer, with loan amounts rising to as high as $75,000. Rather than showing this in the form of a table, we could present the exact same rules following a decision tree. Beginning with a credit score, we might have a range of different possibilities here, again showing that scores under 500 would be considered ineligible, while all three of the others would be considered eligible. This would allow those scores ranging from 500 and above to then go on to the next step of presenting whatever our interest rates might be based on the loan amount that's been requested by our consumers. Decision models like this allow stakeholders to understand outcomes and decision-making factors. If we are trying to investigate why we aren't offering as many loans to consumers as we have in the past, we can go into our data now based on this rule set and understand whether perhaps we are receiving more low credit customers to whom we can't offer loans at all, or if perhaps they're requesting loan amounts that are outside the boundaries that we've set, or if perhaps our interest rates simply are too high. We could rely on other techniques like benchmarking and market analysis to then determine whether our rates are actually competitive with those found elsewhere on the market. And if we find that there's simply no new credit applications at all, then we know that we probably have a broken process and not an issue with our rule set, but rather something underlying that is meaning that these applications aren't being instantly processed at all. In any case, this sort of rule analysis can help to provide team members as well with rule sets that they can follow in order to make desirable business decisions. If a consumer comes into our car dealership location and requests financing, we may have sales staff that follow the exact same rule set that we have for instant approval on the website. But if they do so in a manual nature, then being able to refer back to a decision tree or decision table like this can be very helpful in retrieving the information they must share with the consumer as quickly as possible. Oftentimes, decision models like these are integrated and automated in nature, as would be the case with the instant approval on our website, rather than something that's handled on a purely manual basis. However, decision models require specific decision-making criteria to exist and to be followed. For one, we have to account for the full range of possibilities in order for a model like this to work correctly. If, for example, we were to have a consumer come in with a credit score of exactly 500, and we had rules for scores below and above that number, but not equal to it, it would cause our model to break, and for the consumer to be left wondering whether we can provide them financing or not. Additionally, having to have these sort of specific rules in place may inhibit changes to decision-making processes and lower stakeholder proactivity in validating whether decisions actually make sense for the organization. It could be that a very reliable consumer has had their credit score degraded by the fact that they recently also applied for a mortgage. But based on a common understanding of their household income and the size of loan that they're requesting, it would make more sense in our experienced finance manager's eyes to offer them a better interest rate than the system might allow. If the finance manager's hands are tied, they may simply get their loan elsewhere, costing us that business. This, of course, would not be an ideal situation for the organization, and so determining where rule sets should be truly ironclad in nature, and where we can provide discretion to our valued team members to provide their insights is one of the important balances that business analysts can reach, in part through understanding decision models.